Hey, what's going on, YouTube? What is going on? Lunchtime, little checking in. We're going to get into this kind of quick. I just figured I'd do it live, and if anybody wanted to check in, they can check in and converse. So I just record some thoughts here, but do it live, I guess you'd say. But hey, the electronic deception continues, or is progressing quite rapidly. So today, obviously, if you're living under a rock, or well, you don't pay attention because it doesn't matter. Facebook is coming out with an electronic currency. They're going to call it the Libra or the Liberat or something crazy, like halfway intuition, intimating that it's something to do with liberty, quote unquote. Very deceptive, very obviously massaging the wordage there. But so Facebook's getting an electronic currency game, and at the same time, there was an article today in the Wall Street Journal. I posted it on the community page on my page there. You can check it out. A Wall Street Journal hit piece basically about how the evils of gold are used to circumvent the government by bad guys and stuff. It's the only thing they could have been meaning. I put it up as a poll question. Is this just a hit piece, or is this because gold is really evil and gold should die just like Maduro should die? It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek question, but they're definitely hitting it hard. And Midwest Prepper was talking yesterday about the financial situation, and he was looking in his tea leaves, saying that I think Trump's gone in 2020, and that that'll bring about an economic calamity after the fact. And I just commented that I don't know. I think the electronic currency thing is baked in now, and that's going to be used as a control grid once they ban cash. Which, interestingly, I got an email. Was it Monday night? Monday night about an article about banning cash, and how that's really going to drop the hammer on freedom, and how you won't be able to escape the systems. All these electronic forms of currency are just ultimately going to be sucked into this control web to basically track every movement and every purchase you do, tax everything you do, restrict everything you do to something. If you don't like something, if they don't like something you do, that they're going to be able to eliminate that, withdraw money from your credits, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, when they don't like what you're doing politically or other activists or whatever. And the IRS will have no problem dipping into your funds. It'll be sold as all this. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so convenient. It's going to be, this super, no counterfeit, potential, which we all know is BS. But they're going to say it's a no counterfeit system because we know the things can be stolen, as they have been, and then who knows how they would manipulate it to multiply them. But it's the system's coming. I don't know. The big question, I guess, is what's the trigger point of when they do this stuff? What is your trigger to what you're going to do? Because it's gonna be economically hard on a lot of people, purposefully so. But for the masses, it's gonna be like, all right, go along to get along. Oh, we're going to this electronic thing. Okay, let's go. Just like when they banned gold, just like when they got off the silver standard, the majority of people are going to go along to get along, and we'll all have to at some degree. But how much of the black market, free market, will still exist at that point when they do that, right? So I just thought that Facebook announcement today, timed with Midwest Preppers comments yesterday, and then this Wall Street Journal article, which basically is saying that only rich dictators use gold to stay in power, and everything else is just trying to avoid government detection. Essentially, is the way that article was written. It's just funny, and people wonder what happened to America's gold. But yeah, that Wall Street Journal article is over on my community page. You want to check that out, and obviously the Facebook news is everywhere. It's funny when I hear people that are talking on the radio about the difference between this Facebook coin which Fedcoin might be a better term for it. Fedcoin and Bitcoin, and they're all saying, well, there's a slight difference. Facebook says has really been to be a means of exchange. It's a currency, which is it's a baseline off of a bunch of other currencies, versus Bitcoin, which they're saying is this investment vehicle. So they continue to push this idea that Bitcoin is this investment, which means it's speculative, which means you are riding on the hopes that everybody else will get into it to increase your own value, which pretty much makes it a Ponzi scheme. Because if nobody gets into it, it's not worth anything. It's not doesn't have any, until somebody declares it to be used as has this use, then that's all its value is based on. Now they were talking about how, and another thing to be wary of with Bitcoin is a whole lot of investment vehicles, as they were quoting it, pensions, municipal bonds, groups, stuff like that, are investing in Bitcoin. So that's part of the increased value of it. Is there's all these people that are putting long-term money into it that won't be ever be pulled out, because these investments, these 401ks, these IRAs, or whatever else that are getting into Bitcoin are. We are getting some serious snow here, as we call the summertime snow when the cottonwoods come down. um, but yeah, that Bitcoin's going to become just as speculative and get dropped the the rug out from under it as soon as it becomes it's served its usefulness, I think. So be wary. Hopefully, I know everybody's been a lot of people have been on board with that Bitcoin for a while now. If you're using it for anything other than just a speculative investment to gain profit and get out, I think you're in the wrong. You're just buying into the control grid like everybody else. But yeah, let me check in here on the chat now. I've ran my mouth enough. We're out here. We're on the opposite side of the river where we were last week doing our walk around. Um, but I found a nice place in the shade over here across the way, so it's nice and out of the sun and out of the heat. So makes it easy. So I got Angel R. What's up? M Long's with us. So hopefully it stops raining for you, M Long. Is it the Libro, Stan? Hey, what's up, Stan? Libro, is that what they're calling it? I know it's Libra. It wasn't a Libertad. It wasn't Liberty. It was like they had to get something slightly different, but make it intuit that it was had something to do with liberty. Maybe they're trying to play word games with it. But what's going on up north? Hey, Mule Team, how's it going? Mule Team's checked in with us. Quasar Nugs, Midwest Prepper, West Winds. Everybody checking in. Every rifle round is worth 110 pounds of gold, says Mule Team. Right. I think what we're talking about more here, Mule, is the next economic system that's being brought in is kind of more to the point here. Delaware Patriots with us. Quasar Nugs. Yo, yo. Midwest Prince spent all his on guns and ammo and food, none left for Bitcoin. Oh, Angel says Libro is book in Spanish. Yeah, I guess the thing about that Fedcoin Facebook thing is that it is like I was talking. It's going to be a ledger like system, so it's going to be accountable. Um, I don't know why everybody thinks it's such a big deal when I don't know if we had PayPal and all other forms of electronic payment, but this is somehow some new thing. It's just conditioning. It's just conditioning the masses, I think. Quasar says next economic system being brought in will not affect guys like us. We will not be allowed to join it. I wouldn't say that, Quasar. They're just going to find it's just going to be designed to where we won't want to participate. They won't outright ban people, but you'll have to use their Fed coin to participate, and it'll all be tracked and everything else. Uh, it's just going to be what it is. I think one thing, I mean, it'll be a survival mechanism at some point to where that's the only way you'll have to use it in some form to survive. That'll be part of the gig. You know, you want to, you know, yeah, you know the deal. It'll be very interesting to see how far down it. It'll be interesting to see how the expansion of the free market goes, aka the black market, if they get their way on this. Like, just makes greater incentive to barter things back and forth between each other outside the system. Even if they eliminate crash, if they ban cash, outlaw cash, even if they do that, like, okay, now I just find something else to barter in, you know? Let's go back to the old ways. Hopefully there's enough people willing to participate to make it viable, because if you've only got two or three people, it's not like it makes it very difficult, but you need a large economic system to get a good bartering system going. Quasar says thought criminals don't get to buy and sell. Right. Social score. Yeah, that can all be brought in. A good point, Midwest. Yeah, you and Quasar might be able to target on that when they bring in this any social score as a part of it. Obviously, we've already marked low, so we won't get any credits when the next transition goes. So no credits for you, you know, and you basically starve, and you hope you're, you know, they're going after your kids too when they do that, in the hopes that you kill the next generation of free thinkers as well. West Wind Wayne says, I'm not religious, but it's hard to make an argument that Fed coin is not the mark of the beast. Right? Yeah, when they make it so you can't escape the economic system, if you must have that to buy, sell, and trade, yeah, it pretty much verbatim quotes what's in the Bible, doesn't it? It does seem that way. Did the Saint check in? Whoa, Vborg's here. Vborg, what's up with us? Did I miss something? Or did he delete his comment? We talking about Saints and Sappers. Midwest says, hi, Saint, and I don't see nothing. Vborg has joined us. What's going on? They can control everything with a Fed coin system. Exactly, Westwind. That's the danger of this electronics deal. Yeah, it. I don't think we realize how severe that can be, not only as punishment, but the chilling effect of what economic activity will you not participate in because you don't want to be tracked. And think of all. There's a lot of it, right? Because there's stuff right now you go, I get cash, you know, and go buy something from anything, you know. And now that'll be gone. That'll be absolutely gone. Yeah, Saints here. All right. Yeah, Midwest did have a good video this morning. Kind of what we're playing off of. Terry Shoemaker, good morning. Good afternoon. I'm way off track. You've been prospecting for 50 years? Nice. That's tough work, though. That's definitely tough labor. But it can be enjoyable, good time as well. I've thought about getting out and just doing some panning and stuff in the past, and it's just like, by the time I figure out what to do, and I've wasted more money than I put into it, and it's, you know, that's how it is. But it may become outlawed before you know it, as far as gold and other metal findings. Patriot says package is somewhere in the plains. They can't find it. Wow. Wow, that's impressive. That's government service right there, Delaware, right? Hey, Sparks, you were here. All right. Time to check out, Sparks. Walter Davis, good afternoon. Yeah, this is a pretty good spot. Saint, it's this is across the river from where we were talking last week. Was it last week? No, the week before last. When we walked down by the river, we're on the other side of it. There's a nice shady spot over here. And the river looks like it's slowed down a little bit. It's been pretty warm in the last week or so may have gotten the snow melted down quite a bit. Slowed down just a tad bit. Quasar, have the grass, carp, and Asian destroyed the rivers? Nah, there's no carp in these rivers, Quasar. I think some of the lakes might have issues with carp, but not the rivers. I think they just get washed out each what do you call it? Each spring thaw, they just get washed out anyway. But there's lots of trout and stuff. Hey, what's up, Andy? The comm window's open for a little bit, just for a small bit. Watch out for those peacocks. I've never heard of a peacock invasion. Yeah, right, West Wind, banning individual sales like that. Yeah, if you don't have cash, what are you going to do? It's just going to be a barter system, though. You could barter it, but then it's going to be really hard to come to an agreement to what to exchange, right? That's what money's for, is to agreed medium of exchange. So you don't have to, trade a bike tire for that tarp, or think of whatever your flea market item is. And that's what silver and gold are, though. They're money. It's like you could almost go to that level of going to back to real money. But they'd probably, you know, is there going to be any pushback? I think is going to be the big question. Like if they ban cash and ban your economic activity, is that going to be enough to make it uh, go time, or are they going to? Is it going to be a generation to take? You know, Quasar says a package can vanish easily. That's funny. But nobody's accountable, right, Quasar? That's the problem. It's like it wouldn't be that easy if people were just held accountable, but people just expect the chains not to work effectively. So well, it's just a write off, I guess. Panning is banned and outlawed in Pennsylvania, right? Never send your stuff in a bag. The bags get stepped on repeatedly. Is that right? Hey, old bag, how's it going? How's things out your way? Thanks for checking in. How's things across the pond? I hear that Brexit thing is still up in the air. They can't make up their mind what they're going to do. They keep dragging their feet on that deal. Jay Ufum's with us. Good afternoon. Peacock is MIA. There you go. There will never be a slow boil till death. Well, I think it's on the individual at that point, right, Angel? Unfortunately, but you can't be it as an individual. You gotta get your group together and establish a group trigger point. You know, like what's our trigger point for this situation? Et cetera, et cetera. What if this happens? What's our actions? Because it's got to be a group thing. Uh, we talked about that kind of yesterday. Can't be an individual. All right, go home, Midwest. Have a good day. Thanks for checking in. Mule says they can't ban anyone willing to take what is needed. Yeah, that's gonna just get ugly, right, Mule? It's gonna cause problems. That's when they're gonna put the robot cops out there that don't have any judgment or discernment, and just start killing people in the streets for petty theft and stuff. Delaware says, "What will the Leo back budget be if they can ban cash?" Right? Hey, I'm pretty much sure that the CIA is probably half of the Bitcoin market is probably half the CIA's budget, and they're probably manipulating that just to keep them afloat. I'm sure, with all their ill-gotten gains they already have. Hey, Saints and Sappers, what's up? Yeah, contingency planning, right? But now the contingencies are much at a much higher level, Saints. When when all your central banks get together and say you can't trade and barter and trade uh, in a what's the word for it? Anonymous form of money. When you can't be anonymous in your economic transaction, doesn't that create a conundrum that must be resisted? Um, Couple that with red flag laws. See where that's going, right? Yeah, there was a real good article, video by Chris Ann Hall yesterday. I shared on the YouTube over there on the community page about she was breaking down the red flag laws and talking about how it's much more than the Second Amendment. It's also tied to property rights, and the rights of all, of course, are underpinned as well with these red flag laws. But how it's an infringement on your basic your rights belong to you as property, and it's a infringement across the board. Not Don't just think of it as a Second Amendment issue, but how they're all tied together. It's a really good video. You should go, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I posted over there. I'm sure it's on Chris Ann's page. If you're sub to her, is a good video. Mule team. Uh, I don't know. I figure double up buck and slugs will go a long way when the robots are out there patrolling. But anything that can extend your range and etc. Anything that extends your ECR is a good thing. What did Jay? Where am I at here? Jay Ufam says most people won't take action like something very large scale happens, right? Yeah, especially most people. Now, even like we said, most of us aren't able to take action unless it comes and directly affects us. But a restriction on your economic freedom is an attack on you. It's just about who do you go after at that point. The central banks don't live next to you. You know, the central banks, even in St. Louis, Quasar probably couldn't get within a mile of it without being detected, probably, etc. You know, so who do you go after when they ban cash and all this economic activity? Um, and do the people that you go and typically raise your concerns with, would they even understand what you're talking about? Like your local county commissioner, anybody like that, when you're like, we got to do something about this, they'd be like, about what? This is just the way that it is. We don't have cash anymore. Just like when they rolled over and, we let gold be confiscated in 1933, it's almost the same thing. Whole South America blackout deal. That's a whole nother chat, LS. That's a whole nother question in chat. Maybe something to do with a test run. Maybe something to do with just an example of how easy it is to turn off a whole continent's power. I mean, that's a big question right there. All right, Angel, the whole distraction of the flag burning bill they're trying to bring up again, like just continue to distract people from and get them divided again, everybody into these two sides instead of worried about what's really affecting them. Hydrochloric acid fixes all that ails you. Also, pigs, Quasar, pigs. Pigs are good. Angel Nugs and Saint going to set up a political chat. Right on. Right, Quasar. And that was Ferguson's how far away from the Fed out there? Ferguson's a long way. It's not even close. Delaware says apparently they shut off the internet in Ethiopia. I didn't know there was internet in Ethiopia, Delaware. Yeah, 18 miles, Quasar. That's a long way, right? And they still shut down everything around it, just in case somebody was gonna try to take advantage of the situation. Or right, Jay, the only things in your wallet you can control for sure. Yeah, bank accounts, everything else is exposed. Um, Everything can be cut off, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to revalue this deal, and they're probably not going to give you an even trade whenever they revalue this and do this electronic thing. When they're going to ban cash, they're just going to shut down all the ATMs. Bank accounts will be revalued to the new Fed coin, and you'll get what you get, and you won't have no redress or grievances. There has been speculation and there has been dates thrown around of there's a possibility of an introduction of a cashless bill being proposed in Congress, that it may come up this summer. Um, and it's just bizarre to think about it that people would even present that, but they could actually vote on it, even though they probably could do it without even voting on it, and just the Fed and the banks do what they want because they are the monetary system. In all actuality, it probably doesn't need to be voted on because we have been living outside the laws of the Constitution for 100 years. So I don't know that people talk about this vote, but they don't need it. They can, the Fed and the banks can conspire together and just go, oh, it's all electronic. There is no cash because it all says Federal Reserve notes. It's all theirs anyway, right? The government doesn't have any control over it. The Fed controls all the money supply, the value of money, everything. So that's half of the whole economy. And this whole interest rate deal and the way the economy is going now can definitely be the impetus or the facilitator to get this thing moving forward because the economic situation is definitely not in the bank's favor, and that's all the bank is acting in is to act in its own favor. It's not looking out for you and me. It's not looking out for your investments. It's not looking out for your wealth or value. It's looking out for its own, which is why interest rates are there they are, and the why they set values and everything else is so the banks make profit. That's what central bank has been doing for hundreds of years. Yeah, right, Delaware. And they continue to put out stories like that, where only terrorists and bad people use cash because they want to be anonymous. Nobody that wants to be anonymous can be a good person, right? Yes, indeed. Yeah, they want to be able to tax you at every point of transaction, not just that once a year when you do income tax. And they want to be able to suck all that stuff up to DC. Local leaders should be up in arms about it, but they don't understand it enough to think about it. They don't understand taxes and economics enough because they just get their little pittance at the local level through property tax or whatever, maybe a little other special use tax, and they're just happy to operate with what they have, not knowing that they're being raped and robbed on a daily basis by DC and the central banks. Where are we at, man? We got all kinds of comments rolling in here. What's going on here? See somebody. Hidden Valley Homestead. Good afternoon. How you doing? So how does Bitcoin fit in the and fit and the rest fit all into this? That's what we're trying to figure out. I don't say we have any answers, but they do seem to be tied as either a conditioning factor or they will be absorbed by the banks maybe at some point and confiscated as well. I don't know. We have a firm answer of how it fits in, but it does seem to be a part of this greater move to a cashless society and just getting everybody to buy into it. Like I said at the beginning, there, Homestead. If people, I know a lot of people here on the YouTube have got into Bitcoin for the investment and just for the sheer profit off of it, which more power to you. If you can get into Bitcoin and pay off your house, that's awesome. But if you're looking forward and to be thinking that it's going to be anything that's going to uh, keep you out of the system, keep you free, quote unquote, I think you're wrong. So I wouldn't be in it long term. That's for sure. Right? Quasar, my 2 cents as well. Seems like they could easily control all that currency pretty quick too. Yeah, they can, and that's what we're just kind of speculating on. Is well, the banks control the currency anyway, so they can flip the switch. They don't want to because they don't want that much chaos, and they don't want to be left holding the bag. They want the government to do their dirty work for them, like they have for the past 100 years. So they're continue to milk this economy along, trying to play shenanigans with different tactics on interest rates and everything else until they can get the government to make an excuse to make a cashless society. That's kind of my 2 cents. They want the government to make it legal so the people will acquiesce. Because if the government says so, 80% of your people out there are going to be like, oh, no big deal. 10% are going to be up in arm or be irate about it, maybe, write some letters, maybe protest outside a few banks or something. And then the other 10% will not comply as best they can and probably starve and die in a van down by the river. To quote, was it Quasar talking about that, living in a van down by the river? But I'm going to have to roll out, folks. Thanks for checking in. Been a good chat. Lots of good thoughts. I just want to throw it out there with that article. Again, they're over on the my community page on the YouTube. Is that Wall Street Journal article about the evils of gold, and then obviously the Fed coin Facebook story is all over today. You can find any, just Google Facebook electronic coin or whatever. Libro, as Stan called it, I think. The Libro is what they're going to go with. Again, that name is obviously manipulated to make you think that it's somehow free, right? So, hey, thanks for checking in. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a good day. If we don't see you some other time, we'll see you on the YouTube. And like Saints and Sapper says, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, right? But thanks for checking in. We'll talk to y'all later.